Hello, parents and caregivers. I'd like to borrow just a couple minutes of your time today to talk with you about talking. A really important part of our curriculum here is having students sit with their reading partners to talk about their reading, how it's going, any challenges they may be facing, what they're thinking. And this is a really important part of growing as a reader. And even now in this virtual world, we're having our students sit with each other. It looks a little bit different when your reading partner is on the other side of a computer screen, but it's a really great way to have students continue to connect and talk about what it is that they're reading. But this got me thinking about what happens at home. And even as my own log off for the day, am I really having those conversations with them about what it is that they're reading? Education research tells us so much about the importance of having conversations with peers and with their parents about what it is that they are reading. And so today I thought I'd share just a couple of conversation starters with you that I've used both in my classroom and home with my own kids to help get those conversations starting to go. So as you'll notice as we go through these today, some of these conversation starters are for when our kids are just beginning a book, in the middle of their book, or are just finishing up a book. It's important to note that we don't want them to sit down and drill this into them. It really can just be a very informal conversation. Sometimes in the hustle and bustle of the night, between making dinner and setting the table and getting the kids to clean up their toys and getting homework done and getting baths, it seems like the time flies. And I know even for myself, sometimes I forget to have these conversations. So today I hope that I can share a little bit with you about what I found success with, and hopefully you can borrow some of these as well. So to start with, whenever our students are starting to read a book, it's a great conversation starter to ask, what do you think might happen in this story? What do you think that this might be about? In school, we call this taking a sneak peek. But as your kiddos might be settling down for the night to do their independent reading or to work on their reading log, before they open that book and just jump in, ask that question. So, what do you think that this story is going to be about? Because really what they're doing is they're using the different parts of the book to look through it, maybe the pictures or the blurb or the front cover, maybe all of them, to come up with a prediction. What is it that they think that this story is going to be about? And it really helps to get their mind ready to read. This next question is really very important. Why did you choose this book? I have a little confession to make. So a lot of times I'll ask my little guy this, why'd you choose this book? And sometimes in the busyness of the night, I'll get I don't know, I just did. And so I'll just say, oh, okay, and I'll let it be. But this is a really important question to empower our readers to make choice. Thinking about, well, what about this book made you so interested to read it? And if they give you I don't know, maybe sit with them for a couple of minutes to say, okay, let's take a sneak peek. Let's go through this and think what might be so interesting. Or maybe it's as simple as, okay, well, maybe we should try something that we really want to read. Book choice is a very big, empowering thing for our readers. Now, as students get started in their books, especially their fiction books, our youngest readers, it's important for them to practice their fluency. So the way in which they're reading. And when they're reading dialogue and the author has a character saying certain words in a certain way, a great question we could say is, do you think you could read it like the character would say it? And so maybe they need to go back and reread it out loud, but kids love to do this. They love to try to match their voice with the way the character would say it. And like I said, it's a really great way to continue to practice and improve their fluency. Same thing with point under the words. Does it match? Sometimes I'll scoot right up at that dinner table and I'll say, okay, can we point together? And we'll point together. Sometimes he'll point and I'll read, and sometimes I'll point and he'll read. And just a couple of sentences, and usually that gets them going. As our kids are reading their books and they're in the middle of their books, you might want to ask something like, can you tell me about the parts that you've already read? Or what do you think is going to happen next? Again, making those predictions or giving those quick little retells are really important strategies that all strong readers need to build on. And the more that we can have conversations about this with our kids at home, the stronger readers that they will become. This next one is, I think, a really important and often overlooked. What is interesting to you about what you are reading? having kids stop and really think about, what is interesting? And this could be true of fiction or nonfiction. And if they give you a fact, maybe think to the, or say to them, well, what's so interesting about that fact? Or does it connect with something that you already know? Or have you read about that before? And again, once we start these conversations, they'll just continue and we can have them with our kids in just a couple of minutes each night. And they're such a powerful tool for our readers as they grow. Now, finally, as kids are finishing their books, asking what their favorite part was and why is really important to do. Sometimes we don't get a chance to ask, what did you like best about it? Or why was it your favorite part? This really has kids thinking about, this is why it was my favorite part. And they think back to that whole story or to that whole part. And that helps them think again deeply about what it is that they are reading. And finally, can you tell me what happened in this story? For these little guys, this is early summarizing. Retelling what the important parts were is a really great skill to help them set up for success as they continue to grow as a reader. And parents, I know that the nights are really, really busy. I'm not quite sure anymore what's busier, the mornings or the nights. But just taking a couple of minutes each day, asking maybe one or two of these conversation starters and seeing where it goes will do so much for our kids as readers. And finally, taking just a couple of minutes each and every night to sit with your child, whether it's reading right before bed with them or having them sit with you as you're reading and they're doing their reading, can be some of the most powerful work that parents can do at home after school. Thank you again for taking this time out of your very busy schedules. And as always, we are here to support you and all of our students. Thank you again and have a wonderful day.